Hello, hello! How is everybody doing? Please let me know in the comments section where you guys are watching from, what dominion, galaxy, city, town, village you're based in, so I can shout you out. And thank you all for waiting. Please remember to like the video, whether you're watching on Rumble, Rockfin, Odyssey, or YouTube, of course. We have people tuning in from Canada. We've got people tuning in. It's exploding. Scotland, Tunisia, Australia, Kuala Lumpur, Canada, North Macedonia, Tunisia, Iran, Cyprus, Arizona, Scotland, Cyprus, Seattle, Washington, Bradford in the UK. We've got New York, Tunisia, Maryland. I'm trying to read as many as I can, but it's going too fast. I love you guys. Well, thank you to all of you. So I have to begin with a rather grim update. Actually, there's a first message. So be careful, because there's someone on Telegram using my name and profile picture to scam people into investing in crypto or something. That's not me, just so we're clear. So one of you told me about this, so I thought when I go live, I better warn you. I'm not messaging anyone on Telegram, and I'm not asking them to invest in cryptocurrency. Don't do that, and please report the accounts if someone contacts you, okay? Because it's not me. I did get a message though from PayPal. I saw your message, Marissa. She sent me a donation on PayPal, and it's pending because she mentioned Edward Said. So basically, if you say the wrong name or the wrong country's name on PayPal, they'll get very mad and pull it aside. It's ridiculous, you know. I mean, what is there to inspect about a donation on PayPal? We have another one here from Zina. I hope I said your name correctly. It says a small Ramadan gift. Thank you so much for a brave voice of the voiceless. Thank you for keeping the truth alive. Much loved and appreciated. Well, I can only say Ramadan Kareem to you, and I'm most grateful for this kind donation. You're very sweet. So I have to begin with a rather grim update. I just wanted to kind of bring you guys up to speed with Gaza. If you just give me a second. Right, so the date is the 5th of April 2024. These are the following statistics from Gaza. We have 28 children who have died of malnutrition and dehydration, 33,091 Palestinians who have been killed by Israeli forces. We have 75,750 wounded Palestinians. 14,000 of them, of the total casualties, were children. So I repeat, 14,000. And keep in mind, these are conservative estimates. We have also 136 journalists who've been killed, 1.7 million Palestinians displaced. Most of them are in Rafah, which the Israelis are about to invade. It's on the border with Egypt. We have 173 UN staff members who've been killed. In the West Bank, 456 Palestinians have been killed since October 7th by both Israeli forces and settlers. I mean, what's the difference? But it's worth pointing out, right, that if you're an Israeli settler, even if you're not in the military at the moment, you could just murder a Palestinian. And the army, you're not only protected, the army are literally protecting you. Literally, they're shadowing you, meaning they're walking behind you in uniform to protect you while you commit murder. It's incredible. In the West Bank, 8,030 people have been arrested. So keep in mind that when Hamas did the hostage exchange, I mean, this whole operation on October 7th was about getting hostages so that you have bargaining chips to liberate Palestinians with. And the sad irony, and it's not that Hamas, it kind of just shows you how brutal the Israelis are and vindictive, because they've arrested, as I said, 8,000 Palestinians in the West Bank since October 7th. So the number of people incarcerated, you know, it's gone up. It's almost doubled, right? And this is, of course, whether we count the total, whether we count, you know, people in administrative detention, was about 1,000, but again, that's conservative estimate. But in addition to all the Palestinians incarcerated, now we have another 8,000. So even if Hamas, for example, free 1,000 Palestinians, Israel have gone and made sure that now there's 8,000 other people that are in prison, you know, and it's just sick. Let me remind you that Hamas have freed only Palestinians in the West Bank. So they don't have any control or power or administrative functions in the West Bank, and that has been a driving force in growing their popularity. Because I mean, they didn't do it for popularity, but the fact that they're liberating people that are over there in the West Bank, it's helped solidify their support, not just among Arabs or the world, but in Palestine itself. It's united Palestinians, because, you know, Hamas are technically not even their government, but they're still working to liberate them. Now, here's another statistic that is unbelievable, quite literally. You have 200, this is according to the Israelis, 256 Israeli soldiers killed in Gaza since October 7th. I mean, I'm not buying that. I'm sorry, I'm not buying that whatsoever. 256 is a joke. That's absolutely ridiculous. I'll just remind you that every time there is a statistic, a harrowing statistic, you know, saying that 14,000 children have been killed, what the American press do is they immediately, and the British press is, they immediately go and say, oh, well, that's from the Hamas-run health ministry. What kind of writing is that? What a mouthful. Who wants to read a sentence like that? Do you write, for example, the Democrat-run FDA, you know, Federal Food and Drug Administration. Forgive me if I've messed my acronym up, but you understand the point. It's so stupid. You don't say the Tory-run National Health Service. Who the hell speaks like that? What a ridiculous way to speak. The only reason they do this is they kind of want to poison your mind, because they keep telling you Hamas are bad, Hamas are bad. So when they tell you Hamas-run health ministry, you immediately doubt the figures, even though they're true. Anyway, I just wanted to give you that update on what's happening, and then of course we'll continue now with in more detail. So I'll start with this piece of work because it's something else. Okay. Thank you again, by the way, for your donations. I'll just remind you, they punished my channel. They punished me by demonetizing the channel. So if you're able to donate on Patreon or PayPal, even if it's a few bucks a month, please do. I'm very grateful for all of you who've joined, and I'll play you a crab dance in due course. So the Israelis are using a killer robot, AI, artificial intelligence, called Lavender. The code name is Lavender. And I want to read to you this exclusive from 972 magazine that contains interviews with Israelis who've used the system to target people in Gaza. The targeting is so broad and abstract and sweeping that you see before you the mountain of corpses in Gaza. It's something out of a movie almost, but unfortunately it's reality for many. Let me read to you from this article. So they start with a book called The Human Machine Team. Okay, and why are they talking about this book? They're talking about it because it was written by the commander of an Israeli unit. And this unit, 8200, it just so happens to be the one that is specialized in matters of cyber warfare. And so this book was written in 2021, and it's a proposal of having an AI system. Well, it turns out it wasn't a proposal because it actually exists, and it's called Lavender. Such a machine, it turns out, actually exists. Okay? Now let me read to you what they've written here. So the human personnel often serve only as a rubber stamp for the machine's decisions. They would personally devote about 20 seconds to each target before authorizing a bombing, just to make sure the Lavender marked target is male. Okay, so just to reiterate, the computer which they have fed ridiculous parameters, which we'll get to in a second, just finds targets, and then the human who is at the computer just says, yeah, okay, whatever. They just devote 20 seconds before they rather take someone's life. And I should say lives, because you'll see now the collateral damage, quote unquote. So this is done despite knowing that the system makes what are regarded as quote unquote errors in approximately 10% of cases, and is known to occasionally mark individuals who have merely a loose connection to militant groups or no connection at all. So just to be clear, on average, 10% of the people that are being chosen by this Lavender AI have nothing to do with Hamas. And then, of course, we'll look at the other 90% now in a second. You'll see they also have nothing to do with Hamas. But just to be clear, 10%, I mean, to play with human lives like that is so evil. It really is. You know, we're not talking about 10%, a breakage with cassettes or something, or a product breaking. These are human lives that they're taking. Moreover, the Israeli army systematically attacks the targets while they're in their homes, usually at night while their whole families are present, rather than during the course of military activity. As a matter of policy, the Israelis are not only allowing this machine to choose random targets, but they're bombing them in their homes with the families as a matter of policy. Why? Because according to the sources, what they regarded as an intelligence standpoint, right? From what they regarded as an intelligence standpoint, it was easier to locate the individuals in their private houses. Wow. You don't say. It was just easier to find them at home, so we killed their families, you know. I mean, and then they call themselves the most moral army in the world. Like they're a bunch of, goody two-shoe fairies. I mean, Jesus. They have something else called Where's Daddy? Again, just look at how sick and evil and cynical this is. They have a program inside this artificial intelligence called Where's Daddy? What is the function of Where's Daddy? It gives the Israelis a notification when a potential target has reached their home. They've gotten home. So the signal from their mobile device is pinged on the towers, and then the artificial intelligence takes that information, collates it, and gives it to the officers and says, oh, look, this guy, Daddy, right, supposedly the head of the family, has just arrived home. And that is the cue to go and bomb the family. The result, as the sources testified, is that thousands of Palestinians, most of them women and children, or people who were not involved in the fighting, were wiped out by Israeli airstrikes, especially during the first weeks of the war because of the AI program's decisions. One of them says, we were not interested in killing Hamas operatives only when they were in a military building or engaged in a military activity. That's one intelligence officer saying that. On the contrary, the IDF bombed them in homes without hesitation as a first option. It's much easier to bomb a family's home. The system is built to look for them in these situations. Need I say any more? Don't worry, there's more. Now they discuss junior militants. So this is basically about how they are even killing children, 16, well, I mean, 16 is a teenager, right? But basically minors. And they're killing them and naming them junior operatives, as if that assign, kind of automatically makes them valid for murder. And then they talk about how they don't want to waste a precision-guided bomb on a junior operative. So this 17-year-old is not worth a proper precision-guided bomb. So let's just use a dumb bomb with a, which causes a larger blast radius and more destruction, and basically kills not just this person and their family, but other families and their neighbors. So out of laziness, out of not wanting to use the better bombs, they just use the dumb bombs and cause more damage and kill more people. And the targets are children or teenagers. I mean, look at this also, how callous they are, all right? They say that during the first weeks of the war, for every junior Hamas operative that Lavender marked, it was permissible to kill up to 15 or 20 civilians. Permissible. You know, it's like, I don't know, you're sewing and a bunch of pins fell on the floor. Whatever, it's 15 or 20 pins. Who cares? You know, it's not a big deal. I spilt 15 drinks on the floor, whatever. These are lives, man. These are people. These are human beings. This is acceptable for them, like they're playing God. The sources added that in the event the target was a senior Hamas official, whatever that means, because according to the Israelis, a doctor in a hospital is a Hamas official, with the rank of battalion or brigade commander, the Israeli army on several occasions authorized the killing of more than 100 civilians in the assassination of a single commander. So the computer is telling them, this guy is here, we can bomb him now, but you're going to kill 100 people. Do you want to proceed? And they say yes. You know, you can't blame the computer because the Israelis fed these parameters in there. If someone else had programmed it, someone who's actually in possession of a soul, of morality, they would, you know, they would provide different parameters. But the combination here is lethal. You're mixing two lethal things, right? And making the effect of the Israeli war machine all the more exponential. That's what's going on. You're industrializing and automating what is already a corrupt army, an occupying army, an evil army. Because remember, I want to be very clear before I give you the other details. I was going to save this for the end, but I might as well say it now. The computer doesn't matter. The Israelis have always behaved like this. You have to understand this. The Israelis have always caused disproportionate damage. This is their doctrine. They believe in this. It's the bread and butter of the Israeli military. A bunch of terrorist groups, literally. The computer is not the issue here. It's the Israelis. Let me continue to the other parts. At one point, the Lavender AI marked some 37,000 Palestinians as suspected quote-unquote Hamas militants. Most of them junior. Okay, so you do the math. If the Israelis say for every junior commander you can kill 15 to 20 people as collateral, do the math. Most of them. What is most of them? I mean, okay, I'll go, let's be very conservative and say 51% instead of 90 or 80 or 75. Let's say 51% of 37,000 are junior commanders, right? That's most of them. It's the majority. Multiply that by 15 to 20 and you tell me in the comments what the result is, because I'm not interested in doing mental maths. So the reason behind the development of this is they wanted to allow us, meaning the people running the machines, to attack the junior operatives automatically. It's the holy grail. Once you go automatic, target generation goes crazy. And so at one point, look at what they do here. They basically. They know that the 90% is just a random figure. It's a rubber stamp, because when you look at what is the criteria to tag these people as junior operatives or Hamas operatives, it falls apart. And let me show you something here. Look at the criteria, okay? So, for example, the machine, it has problems with the so here they say similar problems exist with the ability of target machines to assess the phone used by an individual marked for assassination. Quote, in war, Palestinians change phones all the time. People lose contact with their families. They give their phone to a friend or a wife. Maybe they lose it. There is no way to rely 100% on the automatic mechanism that determines which phone number belongs to whom. The sources that are talking to the magazine, they say that the army knew the minimal human supervision in place would not discover these faults. Okay? There was no zero error policy. Mistakes were treated statistically. Because of the scope and magnitude, the protocol was that even if you don't know for sure that the machine is right, you know that statistically it's fine, so you go for it. That's exactly what I'm saying. That, you know, so they can sleep at night, so they feel better about themselves. They say, well, you know, 90% of them are correctly marked, so, you know, let's just go ahead, even if we're not sure who this person is. Let's just do it, right? One of these soldiers says there's something about the statistical approach that sets you to a certain norm and standard, right? There's been an illogical amount of bombings in this operation, which is unparalleled in my memory. And I have much more trust in a statistical mechanism than a soldier who lost a friend 2 days ago. Everyone there, including me, lost people on October 7th. This machine did it coldly, and that made it easier. So this guy's getting everything mixed up. Because he's saying, well, the machine doesn't make mistakes, but then he admits that it makes mistakes. But because it's a machine, it makes him sleep, you know, feel better and sleep at night. It really says a lot, doesn't it? It tells you everything. Here, there are more things I highlighted for you. In practice, sources said that this meant that for civilian men marked in error by Lavender, there was no supervising mechanism in place to detect a mistake. So when there are mistakes, no one is there to check it. A common error occurred if the Hamas target gave his phone to his son, his older brother, or just a random man. That person will be bombed in his house with his family. This happened often. These were most of the mistakes caused by Lavender. So a phone number gets you killed. That's it. You're forgive me for being crass, but you know, you're a guy with you have a penis, you're a male, and you have the wrong phone number. That's a death sentence in Gaza. This is what the Israelis are telling us. I mean, this is madness. This is evil. This is crazy. And there are other things in here. For example, the fact that, you know, most of the people being killed are women and children. So this doesn't make any sense anymore. You know, they tell themselves, well, the target is male, so let's bomb them. But then what is the end result, the bottom line? Women and children are being killed. So the Israelis are basically admitting that, yeah, we're fine with this. Whether we do it or the machine does it, it doesn't matter really, does it? You know, let me. This is a very, very long article, and I sat down the whole day going through it, adding notes, I've just given you the gist of it. There's no need for me to go any further, but I'll just add a few last points. The Israelis have always behaved like this. This is their policy. They were brutal in 48. They were brutal even before that, right? And they were brutal in 56, and then also in 67 and in 73. They've always been brutal 24/7, and so they have turned a machine into they've basically made this AI just as brutal as them and automated the process. That's it. One other point that I would add is that this could be a PSYOP. What do I mean by a PSYOP? A PSYOP is an abbreviation. It basically means a psychological operation that it's meant to demoralize the other side, right? So this could be the Israelis feeding the journalists a bunch of rubbish. I don't think so, but we're contemplating. This could be the Israelis feeding the journalists a bunch of rubbish about Lavender so that they make Hamas feel demoralized. It's like, oh crap, they're going to kill us with our families. They're going to target us, this machine, this robot killer. It could be. But I'll also add another point. The Israelis always love to pretend that they're hot shit, you know, with technological and electronic in the tech and electronic domains.
what do I mean by this? For example, when they killed a nuclear scientist in Iran, they then told the New York Times how they smuggled a gun into Iran, and then it was an automated gun that killed him. I mean, who the hell knows if that's true? We don't know if that's true. Also, this thing with, like, you know, how they know how to hack everyone with Pegasus, and yeah, Pegasus is real, no question about that. But the Israelis have cultivated an image about themselves which serves them. It demoralizes people. They can sell cyber weapons, etc. Right? So you shouldn't buy into it too much. And where's the proof that they're not as hot shit as they say they are? October 7th. They have no clue what hit him. They have no clue what hit him. Never saw it coming. All this tech and equipment down the toilet, useless, pathetic. So just keep that in mind. That I'll leave it at that. I have no reason to doubt the veracity of this article. I do think it's true. I have no doubt that the Israelis have been developing this for quite a while, and I don't think the first time they used it was in Gaza. And, you know, I'm not saying AI is bad per se. It's bad when you have bad people feeding it bad parameters, right? Because if you told the machine, hey, I want 0 collateral damage because I'm not a murdering psychopath, the machine would just give you no targets then, right? That actually have collateral damage. Also, who are the Israelis to kill anyone in Gaza? Who are they? Just because someone's in Hamas that gives them the right to murder them? Okay, let's take Israel's logic and flip it around. So does that mean Hamas can develop an AI that targets any person in the Israeli army in their homes? Because they didn't seem too happy on October 7th. And the irony is that you had people saying, oh, well, October 7th, it was a peace festival, right? How could you target these people who are, you know, on vacation, who are having a party outside the concentration camp that you've been put in? Jesus Christ. I mean, I would honestly not talk about the festival because it makes them look like a bunch of, you know, disconnected, deranged psychopaths. But anyway, you know, the idea was that, well, even if you did kill this person who is in the Israeli military, he was partying. Okay, and this Hamas person was in their home with their family. That's even worse. That's 1,000,000 times worse. And it's always been like this, before and after October 7th. Remember, the IRA did not care if a British soldier is in his military fatigues in the barracks or if he's in a pub. He's occupying their country. He's got to go. You can't just steal land with 0 consequences, right? This is so arrogant. But anyway, you see the hypocrisy here. Like, it's okay for Israelis to hide behind this idea that, you know, they're civilians and they're just partying when actually a lot of them are in the military. Compulsory, mandatory, man and women, right? So men and women, both of them. Every man and woman in Israel has to go to the military, whether they like it or not. So you can't be in the military and then call yourself a civilian. Which one are you? Are you a civilian or in the military? Fucking pick one. But anyway, we're going off on a tangent here. I just wanted to point that hypocrisy out. This is the you know, equivalent of a Terminator. Make no mistake. Thank you for your nice comments and donations. Let me read some of them to you. And again, they've punished me on YouTube because of my coverage, because I cover Israel and the United States and Britain critically, and I don't kiss their backsides. So please donate if you can. I'm trying to make up all the money that I've lost through the demonetization, which was how I made a living. If you're able to donate on PayPal, please do. And thank you to all of you who have. And if you can't, that's all right. Just share the videos at least. It really helps. It goes a long way. Remember to like and comment. I know these are the typical YouTube phrases, but it really does matter because this is not a gaming channel or a cooking channel. I'm talking about politics. It's sensitive. They don't like it. So we have to fight the algorithm. Mark, thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate it. And we have another one from Karima who says, hi, Richard. I really do appreciate you for speaking the truth. And as far as what is not real is doing, they will never defeat a people who know that death is not the end. Alhamdulillah. Exactly. And 2 points there. You
when you're fighting someone on their home turf, you can't beat them. Look at Afghanistan, 3 times, Britain, Russia, and then the Americans. They won every time. Look at the Russians on their own soil. Look at, for example, the Vietnamese against the French and the Americans. They're on their home turf. It's their land. They know the land best, and they have the drive. Palestinians, same thing. They have the drive. They know this is their land. You can't propagandize them or brainwash them. They know it's their land. That's it. They have a birthright to this soil, and you're never uprooting them. So that's one thing. And then on top of what you just said, Karima, that's the other thing. To be martyred, I'm trying to explain it to a Western audience, and I know a lot of people, for example, have watched Vikings and going to Valhalla. I'm not trying to compare the two, but just if I can offer an analogy, it has a very special meaning to be martyred. It's not the end, as Karima pointed out. So I just wanted to underscore that and underline that. Forgive me, I think I deleted one of the messages by accident. Give me a second. Oh, this is from Imran, who says gift. Thank you, Imran. And we have another one from Rashid, who says, what's a fantastic job you're doing. It's great to see real news. Please keep spreading the truth. Thank you very much. You're very kind. And Layla also sent something. Thank you, Layla. You're kind. And we have one from Daniel, who says, keep fighting the good fight. I hope to do that without question. Human said, wishing you the best in your efforts with much support from a friend. Likewise, much obliged. And I have to play a crab dance for Rafi, who just joined, and Bill. Thank you, both of you, for donating monthly and supporting my work. I'm much obliged. And after the crab dance, we'll continue, so don't go anywhere.
Clap for that, you stupid bastard.
Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Listen, fuckhead, you have fucking crossed the line, claiming I'm the enemy. You got that, you goddamn son of a bitch?
I don't give a fuck what you think, bitch.
Good morning. Sunday morning.
Cut that bitch off.
Thank you for Iron Dome.
Thank you.
والله في كلاب بصراحة يعني ماشي نشتغل عادي.
We lied, we cheated, we stole.
China.
And you ain't black.
There's always the macro.
And then there's the micro.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
You talking to me?
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large.
we got him.
Because I have to do it myself. I know it's not.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Oh!
Disgusting!
She was 12, I was 30, but anyway. We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Why you text Sanders?
Why, you're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay. Okay.
Suck my dick and choke on it. I yield my time. Fuck you!
I love a good crab dance. I can't lie. I have to update it. So please let me know in the comments if you have any good political moments that you want me to drop in there. That happened recently. Let's talk about Iran and Israel, because this is a very, very big topic, and the Israelis are losing their minds. They're really stressing. Sorry, actually, just one last thing. Some of you donated on Rumble. I wanted to read those out as well, because I saw them. Makic says, talking about Lavender, this is sadistic, but I don't know if sadistic or evil are accurate enough vocabulary to describe this hell. You're quite right. And, it's something else. It's beyond barbaric. Jay Galt says, where's daddy is the Israelis' lawnmower. Sickening. So by lawnmower, this is a term the Israelis have used before. Like when you're mowing the lawn, you're cutting the grass, and it's an analogy, or rather, the Israelis' colorful way of describing how they kill
children in Gaza, the future generations. It's very disgusting, and yes, it absolutely is. The fact they even named it that, it tells you everything you need to know. Taxi Churro says, has there been any word on PBS Frontlines parts 3 to 6 of their 6-part series on Pegasus? They released only 2. I'm hoping, it would be great to get a leaked copy, but I'm so I didn't know they haven't released those parts. How unsurprising. That means they uncovered some real stuff, and the Israelis lost their minds. That's all the confirmation that I need. American Spring says, support Richard's lion heart. Thank you. That's my nickname, and I appreciate it. Wampa Deluxe says, peace and blessings to all. I agree, most certainly. So let's talk about Israel and Iran and this whole situation, because it's quite unpleasant for the Israelis. So the Israelis are on high alert now. Look at what they have done. Look at the action they have taken, because they fear retribution from the Iranians after the embassy bombing in Damascus. So one of the things that the Israelis did is they started jamming and blocking and scrambling GPS signals in Tel Aviv, in Jerusalem, all over. Usually they do this only in the north with Hezbollah. And the reason they were doing this is because they thought an impending drone strike, or rather a flurry of drones, were incoming. And so in order to impede these drones from reaching their targets, they tried to jam GPS signals. And so, people notice this because they're using their phones, they're navigating, whatever, and they will suddenly found their location somewhere completely different. So that's number one. The second thing is that you have Israeli soldiers who were ready to go on leave. And then suddenly the Israeli command cancelled all their weekend passes and leave. So basically, stay where you are, stay put in the barracks at your station. We're expecting an attack from Iran. You're not going anywhere. Then the third thing, the Israelis called up more reservists to man additional posts, once again, because they are afraid of Iran. The fourth thing, embassies. Let me show you. We have embassies all over the world that suddenly shut. 28 Israeli embassies around the world that closed on Friday. And I made a joke to myself. I thought, why are the Israeli embassies closing? Are they expecting an Israeli airstrike? I mean, the Iranians are not as low as the Israelis to drop 6 missiles from an F-35 on an embassy. Come on, please. This is just ridiculous. It's like these plots they said where they wanted to kidnap some woman from America and then speedboat her to Venezuela. They just come up with the wildest things. But anyway, this shows you the Israelis are on high alert. And now, all of a sudden, a cyber attack on the Israeli Justice Ministry. I didn't know they had one. So here are the tweets from the Israelis. They said, following the publication of a cyber incident at the Ministry of Justice, the ministry prepared ahead of time for scenarios of this type, and the matter was immediately reported to the relevant authorities, including blah, 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 blah. What they mean by the publication, they mean 300 gigabytes of data that were dumped, taken from the Israeli, quote-unquote, justice ministry. As you know, many Palestinians experience that justice in the form of no charges, no trial, and yet being thrown in prison. Also known as administrative detention, but that's for a discussion for another time. Let me show you what is happening right now. Let me perhaps paint a portrait, a picture of the situation. The Iranians are angry, and rightfully so. They want to get their pound of flesh, not literally, but figuratively, most certainly. And they have told the Americans, this is via the Swiss. The Swiss have acted as intermediaries, right? They have, because I covered the Iran nuclear deal in Vienna, and the second time round, the Iranians they stopped talking to the Americans after they murdered Soleimani. You can't blame them. What the Iranians did is they told the Americans, we're going to hit the Israelis. Don't get in our way. Get out of the way. We have to hit them. We're not going to tell you how or when, but we have to hit them. And when we do, get out of our way. Do you know what the Americans answered? The Americans told the Iranians, don't attack American assets. Now, I know how diplomats speak, and it's my job to translate politician to English. What that sentence means, don't attack American assets, it means go ahead and hit the Israelis. We're not going to get in your way, but don't use us as collateral. So it's a green light. Not that the Iranians need one. Please let me be very clear. The Iranians are not asking for permission from the Americans. That's ridiculous. They're telling the Americans to avoid escalation, which is very smart. And they told the Americans, don't take Netanyahu's bait. Don't fall for the bait. What bait? Netanyahu wants the Americans to be drawn into a war with Iran. This is his wet dream. He wants nothing more. He wakes up day and night and prays that the Americans will help him bomb Iran, right? Because Iran is the one supporting all the resistance movements. That's it. So this was confirmed by Mr. Jamshidi, who is the deputy chief of staff for political affairs to the Iranian president. And he wrote in a written message, the Islamic Republic of Iran warns the US leadership not to get dragged in Netanyahu's trap for the US. Stay away so you won't get hurt. In response, the US asked Iran not to target American facilities. Crystal clear what that means. Crystal clear. And make no mistake, the Iranians will respond. A lot of people used to doubt and make fun. Well, look at the resistance in Iraq. Look at the resistance in Syria, in Lebanon, in Yemen. Is that a joke? Is that a lack of response? Or did they turn up? They turned up. Every day now they're turning up, right? And that's because of Iran. There would be no resistance were it not for Iran. The entire Middle East would be a bunch of puppet states for the US. Let me show you this, because today is Quds Day, and just briefly, it means Jerusalem in Arabic and Farsi. Al-Quds is Jerusalem. And the reason that this was created is sort of a counter anniversary to the Israeli quote-unquote Jerusalem Day. Do you know what the Israelis celebrate on Jerusalem Day? They celebrate their invasion of Jerusalem and the illegal annexation, which was declared illegal by the entire United Nations Security Council. So the Iranian version of Jerusalem Day is quite different because it celebrates the Palestinians and their resistance and and it champions their cause. Now, today is Quds Day, and during the speeches, I want to show you just a brief excerpt. So the commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, his name is Sanami, he said that Iran will punish Israel for its crime. The Zionist regime is like a dagger that the satanic British regime stabbed the body of the Islamic nation with 75 years ago. I mean, if that isn't just poetic, it's so accurate. It's just, I hate it and love it at the same time because it really is true. This is all Britain's fault. It's true. It's so well said. It's so well said. He added that Western nations and the United States should halt their support for Israel and that the occupation would crumble rapidly and very soon. And again, people used to laugh when the Iranians said that. What are you talking about? Dude, you have hundreds of thousands of Israeli settlers that have been either displaced inside the quote-unquote country or that have simply completely left, and there's no indication whatsoever whether they will return. So yes, I mean, it's military reputation and international reputation gone down the toilet. Who can deny that? So the Iranians were right. And when they say this, we should take them at their word. He said that the Gaza resistance will bury the evil regime in Gaza, right? He's saying that both figuratively and literally, I suppose, right? He basically means that the resistance will bring an end to the occupation. He also emphasized, okay, now again, this is from Khamenei, right? Excuse me, this is from Khamenei. It's not from Salami. So he said that the Zionist regime will eventually come close to collapse and dissolution. Desperate attempts like the actions the regime committed in Syria, meaning the embassy bombing, will not save them from defeat, vowing that they will certainly be slapped for these acts. Well, you have to understand the proportion of this, because when the Israelis attacked the embassy of the Islamic Republic in Damascus, it's an attack on Iran, and it is an attack of such an order that it can only warrant and elicit an appropriate response. The thing is, though, that if Iran respond in kind in the same manner, they will obviously be drawn into a conflict. So they have to maneuver the situation and massage it differently, shall we say. And the Iranians have been very good at doing that, precisely because of the resistance axis. They have been able to equip, train, and help other independent resistance movements to flourish. They want to tell you that they're controlled by Iran. That's complete rubbish, right? So you have to believe that the Iranians are thinking of ways to respond in kind, and they will manage to do it without giving Netanyahu and the Israelis what they want, which is a war, where the US would then come in and help. The United States are also very worried. You have the top commander in the United States Air Force for the Middle East, Grinkovich. He warned Wednesday that American troops were in danger in the region. I mean, not literally. As you can see, there's some diplomatic correspondence via intermediary with the Americans. So no, they're not actually in danger. You know, this is really a matter that the Iranians want to settle with the Israelis. I'll show you an excerpt from Nasrallah's speech, right? The Secretary General of Hezbollah. And he always gives a speech on Quds Day, of course, and just listen to what he had to say.
يكفي أن نستمع لبيان سماحة القائد وخطابه اللاحق، يعني سأحكي مرة أو مرتين بعد البيان عن الرد عن رجال إيران الشجعان، عن الندم الإسرائيلي، وعن الصفعة التي ستتلقاها إسرائيل. نستطيع أن نستنتج لكل اللي قاعدين بيسألوا بيحكوا على مواقع التواصل وبالإعلام، لا تعذبوا حالكم، لا تعذبوا حالكم. كونوا أكيدين ومتيقنين أن الرد الإيراني على استهداف القنصلية في دمشق آت لا محالة.
He means that. I'll play it again.
كونوا أكيدين ومتيقنين أن الرد الإيراني على استهداف القنصلية في دمشق آت لا محالة.
Make no mistake, without question, the response is coming. That's what he's saying it. I mean, straight up, he couldn't be clearer. And make no mistake, he's not saying it on behalf of the Iranians, or so you'll have these idiots, trying to say that. No. We are just being very clear. That's all. Don't think for a second this will go unanswered. And you have the Americans and the Israelis thinking, well, the Iranians, they're just going to strike like a bunch of empty warehouses so that it looks like a response, but it's not actually a response. Really? Because once again, you were making fun of the Iranians and the resistance, and now they've got you pinned down on 7 fronts. So, I wouldn't laugh too much about the matter. This is no laughing matter, truly. I mean, just forget Iran for a second. The act of bombing, airstriking an embassy, I mean, Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? And then look at the Israelis in their media. I mean...
Here in Nasrallah every 3 months or so, and I would say in many aspects it's boring because he's repeating himself in the same notions, and as it was mentioned in past experience, he was also saying that Iran was retaliating, and then it ended up with a bomb in Bombay somewhere, in an Israeli consulate, trying to plant a bomb, or the attack of a house in Erbil in Iraq. That was the big retaliation. He's saying more that Iran is trying, I would say, to drag on with the threats of retaliation, so the Israeli will be worried for a longer time. They're not going to retaliate immediately.
Well, you've just contradicted yourself.
and not just now, but on many occasions. Remember, this guy used to head the 8200 unit we were talking about. The Israelis constantly whine. They say Hamas is controlled by Iran. Iran is attacking us through Hamas. Okay, well, Hamas got you pinned down, right? I'm not talking about the civilian genocide. I'm talking about the actual battlefield where man-to-man fight. Hezbollah, also, you keep complaining Hezbollah's controlled by Iran, supposedly. It's one of the tentacles, right? They actually say that. And Hezbollah has you pinned down, do they not? Yemen has you pinned down. So actually, Iran is wiping the floor with you, right? According to your own comments. Iran is wiping the floor with you. They didn't just bomb some warehouse in Erbil. And it's so funny because he uses the most lame examples. He doesn't talk about the fact that Eilat port has been hit by Hezbollah, by the Iraqi resistance, by Yemen. And who gave these weapons to all these resistance groups? Iran. Haifa, Ben Gurion Airport. I mean, there's nothing left, you know? So let me explain something to you. Right now, Israel is pinned down, truly. The genocide is its own crime, its own domain. But when I'm talking about the battlefield, the real battlefield, the Israelis are in a war of attrition. They are pinned down on 6 fronts and their economy is bleeding. You have no idea. You have no idea how much this is costing them. They're keeping it on the down low because they're so embarrassed that they have fallen into the situation. Forget their reputation. Just, dude, statistically, material is not coming in, right? The Eilat port is gone. It doesn't function anymore. There's nothing there. And then they have other things like the Haifa port being hit and Ben Gurion. The Israelis are really, really in a bad spot. The only thing that will save them at this point is to have the United States come in and then hit back at the resistance. Iran, the thing that I would advise Iran is not to respond. I know that you know, it's a natural, not human, just human response, but also, you know, political, rational response to answer this embassy bombing in whatever manner. I don't know, at the UN or otherwise. But I would advise Iran not to do anything because they are winning right now. The resistance is winning right now. Again, do not confuse the genocide with the battlefield. There are 2 battlefields. One of them is where the Israelis kill civilians, and the other one is where they get, you know, the resistance wipe the floor with them. And right now they're wiping the floor with the Israelis. That's why they are so scared. And as he says himself, psychologically, it benefits Iran to keep them in a state of paranoia. Look at the resources they're using. For example, I told you they shut down the embassies. This costs money. This wastes time and manpower. They had to call up the reservists. Again, this costs money. This consumes manpower, resources, from electricity to boots to you name it. The Iranians benefit greatly from keeping them in a state of paranoia. And remember, this is not like a fake kind of threat. They will respond at some point, but to drag that on for the longest time possible would be certainly the most bountiful and resourceful of all the options. So make no mistake, they will respond in kind in due time. Right now, I advise them not to do anything. I mean, it's not my place to advise them, but, you know, we're speaking figuratively here. The Israelis are in such a bad spot. They are in such a bad spot. God. Let me show you some updates from the front lines. So we have a number of occurrences, incidents on all of the fronts that we just mentioned. I'll go through them quickly for you. But before I do, some of you sent in donations, and I'd like to read them. So thank you very much to MJ, who says, "Keep it up, Richard." Thank you. And we have another one here from Nima, but it says pending. So I guess you used a bad word. Did you say Palestine or Syria? I'm not joking. These are actually considered like tags or you know, they triggers. Anyway, thank you to all of you who are helping me. Once again, for those of you who just joined, YouTube is punishing me because I tell the truth about the Israelis, because I tell the truth about imperialism. So they've taken away my main way of making money, right? Which was on YouTube.
That's how I make a living, or made a living, and they took it away. So I need you guys to please help me if you can to replace that and make it, make up for it. If you can donate on PayPal, even one time, it would help a lot. And you can also send me a question or a comment. And if you can donate on Patreon on a monthly basis, it could be $1 or €1. It also goes a long way, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. And those of you who can't afford it, just share the videos. It really goes a great length. So let me bring you up to speed on the front lines. So this is an update on all the fronts in the Gaza war. Let's begin with Yemen. You have a number of drone strikes and payloads that were launched at American destroyers and military ships, naval ships in the Red Sea. And once again, I'll just reiterate that the Yemenis are the only people on the planet who can actually fire at American ships and get away with it. So that speaks volumes to their, as to their capabilities and standing. So these particular ones didn't hit, but the ship involved was the. Forgive me, I had it with me here. Well, not to worry, not to worry. The name of the ship doesn't matter. I had it with me though, but it's okay. So a number of American ships being hit, because we haven't had an update for a few days, I would say, at least a week. No updates on whether commercial ships were hit. But the Yemenis are still keeping the Americans in check, and there's really nothing they can do about it. How many times have Britain and America bombed the Houthis? Has that changed a single thing about the blockade? Not at all. Remember, the strategy here is to continue bleeding the Israelis. Then we have over here the Iraqi resistance. They struck an Israeli airbase in Haifa. Once again, perhaps I should bring up the map to show you what a remarkable feat this is. Look at, for example, the distance between the Iraqi border. You see here, this is Iraq, and Haifa is all the way over here. So just to be conservative, even from here, we're talking about hundreds of kilometers and very, very pinpoint accurate missiles. So the fact that all of the resistance possess these weapons, I mean, it speaks volumes. And these things go unreported in Western media. Have you noticed that? You never hear about this when, if you turn on Sky News, and my condolences if you do, or you turn on the BBC. Do they ever talk about the fact that the Iraqis are hitting Ben Gurion, they're hitting Haifa port, they're hitting Eilat? Do you hear about these things? Never. Because it's so embarrassing, and the Israelis can't do a thing. Their Iron Dome is trash. It doesn't work. It can be easily overwhelmed if need be. And remember, of course, for example, Hezbollah using their ATGMs. I mean, you can't protect against that in any way. But let's stick to the Iraqi resistance. So they targeted this base, the Ramat David air base in occupied Haifa, using drones. Another thing that happened was on the Lebanese front with Hezbollah. They targeted a whole bunch of facilities yesterday and today. So this is yesterday on the 4th of April. They struck one site in the occupied Lebanese hills of Kfar Shibba with artillery shells, resulting in direct hits. They struck a group of Israeli enemy soldiers in Al-Merj with artillery. They struck a building housing Israeli enemy soldiers in a settlement with appropriate weapons, resulting in casualties. And this was, of course, in response to Israeli attacks on the southern villages and civilian homes. Remember, the Israelis always hit civilians, whether it's Syria, Lebanon, or Palestine, and the resistance target military assets. That's the difference. So here you can see also in the western sector, they struck a gathering of Israeli soldiers. They also struck the Branit barracks with rockets, and they struck another group of soldiers. If we look at today's feats as well, they've struck another group of assets. And I'll play you a video of the latest one. This is from today. Take a look. Sorry, I muted it just for the copyright, in case there is. Yeah. These are enemy forces. Junud al-Adu. This is today on the 5th of April, Friday, 5th of April. And once again, only military targets. And keep in mind that even if they struck settlements, I mean, what is a settlement, a colonial settlement? Is that not an affront? The occupation itself is an affront. But look at the crater. I mean, this is the same roof with infrared on the left, and then the next day, look at the roof over there. The Israelis, they put military barracks, military targets inside the Israeli settlements. Many of these settlements on October 7th had military barracks inside. So it's the definition of using human shields. And then they have the nerve to call Palestinians, civilian people in their houses who refuse to be kicked out, human shields being used by Hamas. I mean, I've never heard such drivel in my life. Really, it's like someone insisting that 1 + 1 is 3. What the fuck is wrong with you? Forgive my French. So these are just a few short updates that I wanted to bring you from the various fronts. And again, the daily confrontations between the resistance, whether it's in Iraq or Lebanon or Yemen or Syria, and the Israeli occupation is a necessity, unfortunately, because remember, the Arabs tried diplomacy multiple times. The Palestinians signed the Oslo Accords. You then had the Arab Peace Initiative in the early 2000s. I mean, the Israelis, they just don't, you can't reason with them because they're hell-bent on stealing land. Nothing you do can satisfy them, short of dying or leaving your house. And how can any human being with dignity accept these things? They can't. And therefore, they have taken up the resistance. It's interesting also to see the way that it's referred to. So you see how they say the Islamic resistance, whether they're talking about the one in Iraq or in Palestine. And before, you had different kinds of resistance from the Arabs. You had secular groups. You had many Christians also who pioneered this. I did a video on that, and many Christians, literally too many of them to name. I forgot some of them, but they pioneered a lot of this stuff. And it's I think it's George Habash, who's a Christian Arab. He said that they had their time with the PFLP, with the PLO, and now it's the turn of Hezbollah and Hamas, and they seem to be doing something right. He meant that in a positive way, of course. And just to be clear, when we're talking about Christian or Muslim, no one actually sees it like that. It's ironically, it's kind of secular at the end, because Hamas are fighting just as much for Christian Palestinians as they are for Muslim Palestinians. There's no difference. Same thing with the resistance in Iraq. Same thing with the resistance in I mean, Yemen doesn't have as big of a Christian population as Lebanon or Iraq, but nonetheless, it really is kind of pan-Arab in the end. But of course, Iran being the strongest element and backer. Iran is not an Arab country, of course. Iran has helped to lift up these groups, and I need to mention this today on Quds Day, because the celebration itself is another asset that Iran has done and crafted to help champion the Palestinian and Arab causes, right? So we have to show respect to them, because without Iran, where would all of these countries be? They would just be US puppets. We know how the Americans behave. We know how they are in the region, and they are only concerned with stealing resources. Iran itself was a de facto colony controlled by Britain and America, and then when it broke free in '79, they started to hate it, and the rest is history. Well, I mean, literally, but it's still ongoing, isn't it? We know everything else. They hate Iran to this day just because it wanted to be independent. That's the truth. We have some more donations. Let me please read them to you. Thank you so much again to all of you who are helping me as I'm trying to make back the money that they've taken from this punishment. We have a donation here on PayPal. This is from Ranatpur. Thank you very much. I don't see a note, but nevertheless, we have another one here from Mikhail, who says, thank you for your outstanding journalism. We need more people like you. I will support regularly, God willing. I sent you a couple of emails with some content that should interest you. Merci encore pour ton travail. Je regrette de ne pas être tombé sur ta chaîne YouTube ou Rumble plutôt. Bah, merci beaucoup. Vraiment, ça fait plaisir de lire ce message. Et je vais regarder ce que tu m'as envoyé ou ce que vous m'avez envoyé. Et pardonnez-moi pour le retard. We have another message from Omar who says, Habibi, well deserved, keep it up. Thank you. And there's another one here from Philippe who says, Salam Richard, keep up the good work. May Allah increase his nur, his light upon you. Thank him for having put you on the right path. Amen. Amen. This is from Ibrahim who says, thank you for all your work, for standing up for the oppressed and for being a voice for the voiceless. God bless you, brother. God bless you too. And you know, I certainly hope to, I certainly aspire to do that because it's really frustrating the climate that they've built over the last decades, where they've choked out all these you know, anti-Zionist voices and made it a crime to protest against Israel in certain European countries. Now it's really disgusting. So you know, thank you guys for your kind words. Yusuf says thank you for telling always the truth. Men, it's an honor to see your videos. Thank you. You're very sweet. And there's another one here from Raja Gopal. Thank you. Much obliged. Paul says, hi Richard, keep fighting the good fight. Love what the truth you are sharing from. I don't know if I should read the city. I'm not going to do that just to be safe. But thank you very much, Paul. And I like your message very much. And Human says, keep up the good work. You're all very kind. Really. I keep repeating myself, but it's true. Sami says, bravo pour le travail que vous faites. Je vous remercie pour votre message et ça fait plaisir d'être là avec vous. Ali says, helping the program. Thank you, Ali. And Angela also sent a donation. You guys are overwhelming me. No, but seriously, I couldn't ask for more, and I'm much obliged. I'll read more of them afterwards. Let me continue with the topic. I want to give you an update on the convoy because it's really scandalous. Forgive me. So this is just an update on the World Central Kitchen convoy, and what I'm about to read to you is so scandalous and unbelievable. It's to call it half of an apology would be a true understatement. So let me show you this fake apology from the Israelis and the supposed measures that they have taken. Okay, this is first of all a headline from the Times of Israel. They say that 2 senior officers will be fired from the Israeli army for involvement in the deadly World Central Kitchen strike on Gaza aid convoy. Again, just to be clear, this convoy we're talking about, it was 7 foreign aid workers in Gaza. The Israelis hit the first car, then the people in the first car got out and they sat in a second car. The Israelis then hit the second car with the drone, and then they got out the second car, took the wounded and put them in the third car, and then the Israelis hit the third car and killed all of them. I mean, to call this an accident is an insult to the people they killed and to our intelligence. So this is basically 2 Israelis falling on their swords with some fake nonsense punishment. I mean, a real punishment. When you murder 7 people, you go to prison. You don't just get fired from your job. What is this? You should be court-martialed for that. This is a war crime. I mean, the lack of seriousness here is so expected and so usual of the Israelis. How could I possibly be surprised? I'll show you what... this is Ramesh Rajasingham, he's with OCHA, with the United Nations. Just a brief clip, and then I'll play you the Israeli apology, or so-called apology.
On 1 April, the withdrawal of Israeli forces from the besieged Al-Shifa medical complex in Gaza City revealed a hospital and many buildings in the surrounding residential area almost entirely destroyed. The UN and partners only reached the facility today after repeated requests were denied to help triage remaining patients and assess needs on the ground. Al-Shifa was the largest hospital in Gaza, formerly serving more than 250,000 people. The loss to a health system already in tatters amid skyrocketing health needs is incalculable. And then on the same day, we saw 7 World Central Kitchen aid workers killed in multiple Israeli airstrikes on their convoy. These workers had just unloaded more than 100 tons of much-needed life-saving humanitarian supplies from the second World Central Kitchen maritime aid shipment to a warehouse in Deir al-Balah. They had informed the Israeli army of their movements. We extend our deepest condolences to the families and friends of these courageous, selfless people who were there to help their fellow human beings in their time of need. Sadly, we cannot say that this tragic attack was an isolated incident in this conflict. They joined more than 220 of our humanitarian colleagues who have been killed, 179 of them UN personnel.
I mean, forgive me, you heard the figure and how outrageous that is. I find it disgusting that all of these governments, my government included, suddenly care that 7 aid workers were killed in Gaza when they didn't care, and they actually helped to murder not just these 7, but the over 200 workers, aid workers and healthcare workers that he just mentioned. And a good chunk of them, 179, were working with the UN. I mean, we've never seen anything like this.
Including many along with their families. I echo the Secretary General's...
It's truly sickening. You know, is it because they're Westerners? Is that the reason? They have the right passport, a piece of paper that makes you more valuable as a human being. You know, I'm just shocked. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. The Polish government, they then summoned the Israeli ambassador in Poland, and he apologized to them, which I find funny because before they summoned him, why didn't he apologize then? You know, I find this ridiculous and very, very lackluster and limp and vile. And I'll show you something else. This is the Israeli so-called apology, or one of them, in the UN. First, the Palestinian ambassador speaks, and then the Israeli. Listen.
Arm or shield those committing atrocities. They must be held accountable, or these crimes will continue. Faced with such outrage for its attack on foreign nationals from the World Central Kitchen, Israel took its first measures, dismissing 2 senior officers and reprimanding 3 others. That is the punishment for the commission of war crimes? That is outrageous.
We express our deepest condolences, and our hearts go out to the families, their countries, and the World Central Kitchen. This was a tragic mistake. Israel never targets civilians deliberately. Never. Let alone...
Yeah, and I'm JFK. Yeah, it's true. I'm actually John F. Kennedy. Did you know that? This guy is so ridiculous. I'm shocked he didn't show up with a rock like last time, a literal rock. This is a Hamas terror weapon. I'm expecting him to get up and say that the World Kitchen is a Hamas terror organization.
Aid workers carrying out crucial work.
Yeah. You know, it's crucial work. They're feeding the people that we're trying to starve and kill. We consider this crucial. Why would we possibly murder them? Our interests have no conflict or, unalignment whatsoever.
Israel holds the critical support of aid workers in the highest regard, and we will continue to coordinate with them and secure them in their missions.
We've also...
I might as well have played you something from the Looney Tunes. Really. So now the Americans are finally, in quotation marks, moving their asses and telling the Israelis off, right? They're giving them a walloping, they're giving them a mouthful, and they're now telling them, you better clean up your act or we'll condition support. Absolute rubbish.
Absolute rubbish. If that's true, then I have London Bridge to sell you for £5 available now. I mean, you really think the Americans give a crap? They are complicit hand in hand. The United States is, you could say this sentence and it would just be equally as true. The United States drone strike 3 aid workers in Gaza. It's true. What is the difference between Israel and the United States? I mean, people call it the 51st state for a reason. So I'll play you another one of his speeches. Actually, I was about to move on to Kirby, but I found this one as well. Look, this is from yesterday as well.
Friends, Israel expresses sorrow, deep sorrow over the tragic deaths of World Central Kitchen employees.
Ah, a bit more energy. When he was in the UN, I mean, he sounded a bit limp, right? Like a bored child in a classroom. We have apologies. Nice, we have some energy now.
Yesterday in Gaza, we never target civilians deliberately, let alone aid workers.
Yeah. Again, I'm Marilyn Monroe.
Workers carrying out crucial work. This incident is being thoroughly investigated. But we all must remember, for Israel, I
love the but. I love the but. We have the right to kill whoever we want.
Israel, every loss of life is a tragedy.
Oh yeah,
yet
sure.
For Hamas, every civilian death is a strategy. Hamas exploits civilians.
I literally read an investigation to you about a killer robot that is called Lavender, that is used by the Israelis to target people who are not in Hamas and in their homes, with their families. How dare you? How dare you, you pathetic goon?
Hamas exploits civilian death so that the world will pressure Israel and prevent us.
What do you mean exploit? What does Hamas have to do with anything? We can see, yes, you should be pressured. You should be pressured, obviously, when you're committing genocide.
From exercising our right to self-defense.
I told you it's coming.
And only Hamas is responsible for every casualty. And if the world doesn't hold Hamas accountable, it gives terrorists immunity and will incentivize terrorists to use civilians as human shields.
Wow. Yeah. So I told you it was coming. There's always a but with the Israelis. We apologize, but Israel has the right to self-defense. Yeah, okay. We know the script. Here's Kirby.
Of civilian humanitarian workers yesterday from the World Central Kitchen, which has been relentless in working to get food to those who are hungry in Gaza and quite frankly around the world. We send our deepest condolences to their families and loved ones. We've seen the comments from Prime Minister Netanyahu and from the Israeli Defense Forces about their commitment to conduct an investigation. As we understand it, a preliminary investigation.
Again, he reads like a bored child, and the idea that the Israelis will investigate themselves. You can't trust the Israelis to investigate themselves, just like you can't trust the police to investigate themselves for corruption. This is ridiculous. How can you utter such a sentence? It's a war crime. The photos are out there. We know what happened. The Israelis have admitted to it. It's a war crime. Now, you should be delegating this to the UN, but as usual, the UN is not allowed to actually function because of the Americans and the Israelis doing their best to sabotage it.
Investigation has been completed today and presented to the Army Chief of Staff, and we'll obviously look to see what they discover in this preliminary one. But we expect a broader investigation to be conducted and to be done so in a swift and comprehensive manner.
Yeah, sure.
We hope that those findings will be made public and that there is appropriate accountability held. But
we hope. So this is the United States pressuring them. You know, it's like a parent who's telling a child, you know, I hope you don't break the kitchen sink again or the china, but go ahead and watch television. I hope you won't do it. Come on. Go be wild. Go do your thing.
I'm sorry. More than 200 aid workers have been killed in this conflict, making it one of the worst for aid workers in recent history. This incident is emblematic of a larger problem and evidence of why distribution of aid in Gaza has been so challenging. But what beyond the strike, what is clear is that the IDF must do much more to improve deconfliction processes.
He's really struggling with this one, huh? You ever been in a class and then there's someone giving a presentation and you can tell they just hate everything about it? So I told you that it's going to be scandalous, but you haven't even heard half of it. You haven't even heard the half of it. Look at this. Look at this, honestly. This is from the Israeli investigation, right? And someone kindly translated the Hebrew into English. Okay, let's look what they say. So the Israelis admit that the vehicles were marked. Oh, thank you. Yes, they are marked. We can see that. But they say that it was nighttime. It was nighttime, and that they did not see the stickers. Well, am I hallucinating? Are they actually saying that? Nighttime. I'm very sorry to say, but this doesn't exactly look like nighttime, does it? Does that look like nighttime to you? I mean, I can't believe my eyes. I can't believe that they're actually saying this. They struck them during the day. They struck them during the day. And on top of that, all of this money, all of this tech, all of this gear that the Americans give the Israelis, and you're telling me that they can't see at night. How are you bombing people at night then in Gaza? How are you running nighttime operations if you can't see? I mean, I've never heard such a... Every plane from, a fighter jet, drone from the last decades is equipped with infrared. They can easily see at night. This is such a disgusting lie. So you're telling me that they couldn't see the sticker, but they were able to put a giant hole on the hood of the car 3 times, 3 different cars, but they couldn't see the sticker. Well, if you can't see the sticker, why the fuck are you trying to murder 7 people? I mean, I can't believe this, really. I can't believe this nonsense. They didn't see the stickers. They say they admit that the convoy was cleared for traveling by all military authorities. Yes. But that this information was not conveyed to regimental headquarters. According to the Israelis, the 3 vehicles were supposed to turn right at one junction, but for some reason turned left. They strayed 100, 200 meters from their approved course and were attacked. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I didn't know that, taking a wrong turn warrants a death sentence under the Israeli judicial system, or should I say extrajudicial system, because it's done. I mean, I can't believe this. They took a wrong turn, so you get drone strike 3 times because you took a wrong turn. That's amazing, really. It's amazing. So the regiment did not seek authorization from the division, which is higher up the ladder, and they attacked the vehicles one by one, assuming they were attacking Hamas operatives. That's it. Yeah, when you see a car in Gaza, it's obviously Hamas, especially if they turn left instead of right. Everyone knows this. That's the tell. When the car turns left, it's Hamas. I'm telling you, I speak Arabic. I know. I don't know what to say, guys. Please tell me I'm hallucinating. I can't believe I'm reading this nonsense. This is the excuse they came up with. It would have been better to say that the people were drunk or drugged than this. They were kidnapped by aliens, drugged, they came back and they just accidentally fired at it 3 times, than to write this drivel. What does that say about the Israeli quote-unquote rules of engagement, which we know are to just shoot anything that moves? How moral, how humanitarian and civilized of this fighting force, how brave and gallant. Just kill anything that moves. Voila. So this is the summary of the murder of 7 aid workers. The world only gave a shit because they happened to be British and Australian and American and Canadian and Polish. If they had the wrong papers and colors on their little book, then a different ID or citizenship, then no one would have given a shit.
right? No one would have cared. Even if you have the blue helmet, your UN, they will still kill you. So, you know, they should consider themselves very lucky that people actually care enough to do what? To call on Israel to investigate itself. And now Israel investigates itself and finds that they took a wrong turn. And, you know, the IDF with all these billions that they get from the Americans, they can't see at night. These poor people, they need glasses. Shall we all, you know, pitch in and donate some glasses and infrared equipment to them? Maybe they can see at night. They'll kill less people. I don't know. Karen says, honest reporting, Richard. Very refreshing. Thank you. Thank you. We have another donation. This is on PayPal, and it's from VK, who says, I forgot to add note, when it comes to Israelis, how come these people are born just like us, but they're able to act like this as a group? Any human has basic empathy. Well, it's propagandization. When you're indoctrinated with Zionism, or let's say any settler colonial culture, if we can call it that, you automatically see people that are not of your own ilk as inferior. You have to rationalize it that way in order to steal their land, right? This guy is not a human. They don't deserve this house. I deserve this house. I'm the chosen people. That's how they do this, right? And it's quite sick, because when you take bits and pieces of a religion or a religious text and then you just like throw them together into, you know, you remix them into something that suits your political cause, then you can do anything, right? Using religion as a cover is a great tool that many have done, like ISIS, Al Qaeda, or the Crusaders, for example. I mean, it's really sick, and then it's combined with this European nationalism of the 19th century. Remember, Zionism was created during the 19th century by Herzl in Vienna. It was then that he published it. And so it's a mix of European nationalism, ethno-nationalism, and bits and pieces they stole out of the Torah. But actually, they're very much into the Talmud. If you read the Talmud, which is not the Bible, it's a different book, you will see where Israelis, Zionists, get this evil, character from, and they lose all their empathy. Berges says, "Mashallah for your outstanding work. Alhamdulillah, we have a professional journalist like you. Inshallah, we'll out Nemesis detested soon. Stay safe. Ramadan Mubarak." Ramadan Mubarak. Thank you very much, and you're very kind. I'm humbled. We have another one from Ian, who says, "Ian from Northern Virginia, just outside DC. Wallah Habib, you are wiping the floor with the stenographers in corporate media. We'll think we'll see you and Abby Martin do a show together. I'd love to. I need to get in touch with her, actually. I hit her up. I don't know when I contacted her. This was a while back. She was pregnant and she couldn't do it, so I'll ask her now. Great idea. Thank you. And we have Makic, who says, the Americans are only afraid for their own asses. Screaming Hamas is not going to change anyone's mind. It doesn't scare anyone anymore. It's too late. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. We're way beyond that. You know, we're way beyond that. I hope. But let me be honest with you. There are two things happening right now. Okay. There are two things happening right now. The Americans are pretending to be outraged about this assassination, this murder of the World Central Kitchen aid convoy. And at the same time, they're also scared of Iran and this looming response. And so they're telling Israel now to tone it down and to open more crossings and let in a bit more food. And I'm about to go into detail about these new aid crossings being opened. But you know, it's lackluster. It's pathetic. It's hollow. There's no actual conditioning of support. There's no reprimand. There's nothing. I mean, we haven't even gotten to justice. Forget about justice. It's gone. It's never happening. But there isn't even a hint of actual consequences or people in the White House or in the US government actually, really legitimately being angry. And they should have been angry a long time ago. But these people are devoid of humanity. The people in the British government and the US government are they are devoid of all humanity. They have no sympathy, no empathy, nothing. They're as hollow as can be. They're a vacuum. They are truly evil people. I mean, anyone would have been so angry by now. And to cynically pretend that you care about, one American citizen being killed and another who's a Canadian and then some who are British, as if you actually give a shit. Many Americans were killed. Dual citizens were already killed in Palestine. Shireen Abu Akleh, for example, was an American citizen. Did Biden give a shit? What did he do? Nothing. Many other dual citizens were killed in Gaza this genocide round. They don't give a shit. They don't care. And now they cynically use this to make it look like they're acting on it and, trying to get Israel to get in line a little bit. They don't give a crap, man. The way you put the Israelis in line is you go to the United Nations Security Council, you kick them out of the UN, you suspend them in the UNGA and the General Assembly, you cut all arms sales to them, you cut diplomatic ties, you isolate the bastards, just like they do to Syria and Iran and all these countries that they persecute. Why don't you give the Israelis a taste of their own medicine? Because remember, when the United States sanctioned Iran, it's Israel sanctioning Iran through the United States. Same thing with Syria. It's Israel doing that, lobbying the Americans to do it. Give them a taste of their own medicine. And even then, it doesn't even come close. It doesn't even come close. How the fuck can you repay or make up for murdering 30,000 people? And that's conservative estimate. 14,000 children, man. What is wrong with you? We are beyond. We are long past any form of retribution or recourse. There's no recourse here. There's no recourse. RemVUSA says, has Syria been able to retaliate against Israel for all the attacks it has done? Never hear of them striking back. That's a very good question. Syria has been able to retaliate by virtue of hosting the Palestinian resistance. For example, PIJ is based in Damascus. Palestinian Islamic Jihad is based in Damascus. And Syria has been a convoy, and a conduit for all of the resistance. It's all roads go through Damascus. Always. Even the Israelis will tell you, pick any Israeli leader, any commander, they will all tell you Syria is the key to the Middle East. And remember, all of these countries we're talking about anyway, Lebanon, Iraq, Palestine, Israel, Jordan, they were all called Syria 100 years ago. It's just made up borders by Britain and France. So in terms of strikes, I told you a year ago, there was a small period when you had Lebanon, you had Hezbollah, you had Syria, and you had also the Iraqis hitting the American bases and the Israelis at the same time. And I told you back then, this is unprecedented because it was something special to see not just Syria striking, but all three of them. And now during this war, this became the norm. It is the norm. It's an everyday occurrence. Every day, the Iraqis are hitting the American bases or the Israelis. Now more regularly, they're hitting the Israelis. The Syrian government is not able to strike back the way that Iran, for example, is, or the Yemenis. But what the Syrian government has done is it has given permission to the Hashd al-Sha'bi, the PMU in Iraq, basically the Iraqi resistance, to navigate and move between Iraq and Syria, because they have the permission, and by doing it that way, it's not Syria that's hitting the American bases, it's the resistance that's doing it. It's a non-state actor. So, remember, Syria is the only state actor here that actually supports the Palestinian resistance. All of the others have been captured by the Israelis and the United States. Jordan, Egypt, they're all gone. So, just by having that position by virtue of championing the Palestinian cause, it has cost Syria a lot and rendered it unable to respond in kind to all of these strikes. The one thing that stands out to me is when they fired what was it again? I think it was an S-200 missile. So it was a surface-to-air missile at one of the Israeli jets, and this was an errant missile, and it chased the Israeli jet and fell, I think, 20 kilometers from Dimona, which is the Israeli nuclear plant. Hezbollah have warned the Israelis before. They have said, we have a nuclear bomb. If we hit your reactors at Dimona, it's like detonating a nuclear bomb. And, well, the Israelis don't like that. But no, Syria hasn't been able to respond in the way we see from the resistance, but it is, you know, as a state, it hosts and facilitates the transfer of weapons for the resistance, and also provides them with other amenities that are afforded to state actors. G-Pass says, I enjoy your elaborate verbal outbursts towards these absolute fire trucking monsters in the world. Keep up the amazing work, Free Palestine. I'm going to remember that, fire trucking. Thank you. You're most kind. And Jen says, you're right, Richard. Zionists on Twitter are very scared about what Iran will do. Yeah, they everywhere, Zionists are scared. Make no mistake. Thank you, Baljes, who says, thanks for being my favorite geopolitical guru, bravely exposing the truth. F Israel and the United Snakes, the United Snakes and their vassals. Warm Brazilian hug from Sydney. Stay safe, be blessed, Allahu Akbar. Thank you very much, and a warm hug back to you. And we also have Frieden, who says, thank you for your work, Richie. Thank you. Let me continue. I have another topic to show you. Actually, I'm not going to show it, but I'll explain. So it's quite sad, honestly. It's quite sad. Okay, so Al Jazeera have obtained more exclusive footage, which I'm unable to show to you, but I will describe. And it's once again of a heartless, absolutely cold massacre of Palestinians. So just the first seconds, you can see there's an age drop. I'm trying to pull it up for you because they've censored it, but well, in any case, you can see the plane dropping all these crates over Gaza, and then there are young men and just people, basically crowds rushing towards the aid to get food because they're starving. And then while they're trying to get the food, you can see plumes of smoke, small plumes of smoke rising up from the ground, indicating that shots are being fired at them. These are, again, they're civilians. They're in the middle of a street. There's nothing in the street. It's just completely destroyed all around, just wreckage from the Israeli bombs. And the Israelis are just picking them off, like shooting, you know, fish in a barrel. It's so sick. And then one of the young men is shot. And he falls to the ground near one of these supplies that he's trying to get. And then there are dogs. There are about 2 dogs, stray dogs, that go up to him. And I can only imagine that they ate him afterwards because they're also starving due to the siege. And then the footage cuts off. We don't really see what happens after that. But it's such a vicious, truly vicious massacre. I mean, it's murder caught on camera, you know? That I'm unable to show it to you. I'm not going to show it to you, but I've no doubt most of you have seen it, and it's very distressing to put it mildly. This is again just what we've seen captured on tape. Can you imagine the other footage that has never been published, or the other events and incidents and acts of callous murder that have never been photographed or captured on tape for us to see? I mean, the figures alone are harrowing. It's really, really awful. It's really awful what they're doing to the Palestinians. Let's talk about the aid routes, the supposed aid routes that they've opened up. So one of the other fake outbursts that the Western governments have lobbed at Israel or directed at Israel is asking them to open more aid crossings, which obviously the Israelis did very reluctantly, And it's all part of a show. It's just to make David Cameron and Joe Biden and Rishi Sunak look like they're acting on Israel's assassination of the World Central Kitchen convoy. Here's a tweet from Dodgy Dave. He says, the opening of Erez and the port of Ashdod to aid for Gaza is hugely welcomed and something the UK has long been calling for. Yes, long been calling for while supplying the Israelis who are starving and killing the Palestinians. Yeah, that makes sense. There's no conflict of interest. Israel has also agreed, how kind of them, Israel has also agreed to increase the number of trucks entering Gaza to 500 a day and extend the opening hours of Kerem Shalom. Wow, you don't say. Oh, so they're not going to close on Saturdays for the Sabbath? Because they're actually doing that. The Israelis are using, once again, Judaism as a cover to justify starving Palestinians and their whole regime. And so they actually close the crossings on Saturdays due to the Sabbath, which is the holy day for Jews. And then they said the UN asked them, the United Nations, the world body, asked Israel to close on Saturdays for the Sabbath. What, I mean, the drivel that comes out of these people's mouths, it is such an insult to humanity itself. And then this thing with 500 trucks a day. I'm sorry, Dodgy Dave, okay, you corrupt, vicious murderer. 500 trucks a day is nothing. Who the fuck are the Israelis to limit or determine how many trucks Palestinians can drive into their own country, damn you? What the fuck is this? They have agreed. Who the fuck are they? Why don't you ask the government of Sudan or China while you're at it, whether they agree? How irrelevant. The trucks don't come from quote-unquote Israel. They have nothing to do with fucking Israel. It's going from Egypt to Palestine. But no, we have these fake Arab presidents like Sisi who are bitches for the West, who bend over backwards for the West and the Israelis, who divert the trucks so the Israelis can check them, their majesty. So in any case, 500 trucks, that was the number of trucks that entered Gaza before October 7th, okay? On average. Back then, it wasn't enough to begin with, 500 trucks. Do you know why? Because no person or country allows another so-called country to limit the items that can enter the country, to search the items coming into the country, and to limit the number of lorries, trucks, and vehicles coming into the country. Do you know why? Because it causes shortages, and it's humiliating. That's why. 500 trucks is under siege. Do you understand? It's a limit that the Israelis put in place to starve the Palestinians. And in their own words, this is one of Sharon's advisors. He said that they should allow just enough food into Gaza so as to not kill the Palestinians, but keep them, barely alive. This is similar. The first thing that I think of when I read this is when I was a teenager, I gave a presentation on the treatment of Allied prisoners of war by the Japanese and the Nazis. And one of the things that the Nazis came up with is the hunger plan, right? It's by Bakke, who was the Nazi food minister, and he came up with this brilliant idea of calculating how many calories are needed to sustain, properly sustain a German soldier at the expense of a Soviet prisoner of war. And so they came up with some ridiculous number of calories. I don't remember what it was, 100, 200, something like this. And this reminds me of the Nazis. Again, an absolute one-to-one, oranges to oranges parallel. So 500 trucks wasn't enough before. The Israelis have no right to determine the number of trucks entering another country. And on top of that, this is during a genocide. Even if you brought 5,000 trucks in on one day today, for example, you wouldn't be able to do anything because you need far more than what 5,000 trucks can carry. You need medical supplies. You need fucking hospitals, literally buildings that have been leveled by the Israelis. How could you possibly fit them into these trucks anyway? How could you fit the materials? You can't even bring cement into Gaza because the Israelis have banned cement. These evil, sick people. They bomb Palestinian homes and then forbid you from rebuilding the home. I mean, And then they wonder why people resist. Do you know there would be something very wrong with Palestinians if they didn't resist? I mean, any human being would say, fuck you to these conditions. And we're only talking about a few aspects of it, right? So 500 trucks during a genocide is not enough. How do you distribute the food in the trucks when the Israelis are firing at people who approach the aid? They brought in trucks. Do you remember the first flour massacre? The first, there are multiple. They brought in trucks. And then what happened? People rushed to the trucks, which is normal because they're fucking starving. And then the Israelis massacred them. I just talked to you about another young man massacred because he was trying to pick up the aid, the benevolent aid, the generous aid dropped from the sky, the crumbs sprinkled over Gaza by Western powers who are arming Israel. Shot, just like that, for nothing, for no reason, for fun, for sport. How can you distribute any of this when the Israelis deny visas? They won't give UN workers and healthcare workers and humanitarian workers visas. Again, who are the Israelis to give visas to another country? Do you go and ask Mexico for a visa to visit England? What the fuck is this? And then they say there's no occupation. I mean, the nerve. Let me show you a clip here.
More bakeries to open and hospitals to function. And Israel will also activate the Nachal Oz water pipeline to northern Gaza once repairs are completed. Well, Sean Carroll is the president and CEO of ANERA, that's the American Near East Refugee Aid Organization. He says aid from the Erez crossing in Gaza's north just won't be enough.
We have been putting pressure on, international NGOs have been putting pressure on, the UN governments have been putting pressure on Israel and encouraging and cajoling them to open up more crossings, to allow more trucks coming in. Aid coming in by truck remains the most efficient, cost-effective way. There are hundreds, thousands even, of trucks that are waiting at Rafah or in Cairo or in Amman. So opening up a new crossing is a welcome development because everything's needed, particularly in the north. The obstacles, the barriers, the challenges, difficulties are immense, and they're at every point and around every corner. And so anything we can do to provide some more options, and we will continue to push. We will continue to say, thank you, this is a good development, but it's not enough. And as you pointed out, we're nowhere near the amount of aid that's necessary. I think people forget that for the first 2 weeks of the war, the enclave was completely cut off. And so working to catch up to what was brought in before the war, even if we were getting to 500 trucks a day, we still wouldn't be catching up. And we have this acute malnutrition and famine brink, and it's too late for many people, and we're going to see those numbers spike, and we have to get more food in as quickly and at scale as possible.
Okay, let's bring in Tamer Kamrout. He's Assistant Professor of Public Policy at the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies. Good to see you again, Tamer. Let's begin with this admission of guilt by the Israelis. The army says it was a case of mistaken identity that caused them to shoot this convoy of international aid.
Right, so I'll stop it there because they've changed topic. But really, it's so scandalous what they're doing, truly scandalous. So Netanyahu's office has said that they will allow temporary aid deliveries via a crossing in the northern strip to ensure the continuation of the fighting and to achieve the goals of the war. What does that mean? Who's fighting? What does feeding Palestinians have to do with the goals of your war? You're killing the Palestinians. I don't even know what this sentence means. So after this, the UN chief has criticized the temporary aid corridor to northern Gaza as inadequate. Well, yes, I wish he would also criticize the Israelis for their other war crimes, because there are daily war crimes, but he doesn't seem to take much action, does he? Especially after they've killed over 170 UN staff members. I mean, I would have resigned already if I had, been able to do nothing like him.
just resign in protest at least. What is wrong with you? You allow a scumbag like that to come in and participate in the United Nations and be a member while they're massacring UN staff? Have you lost your mind? So the crossing that they're opening is the Beit Hanun crossing. The Israelis bastardized it to what it is. This is in northern Gaza, and it was after Biden and Netanyahu had a stern word with each other. Oh yeah, I'm sure Biden really scares Netanyahu. Yeah, that's people assuming that the relationship works that way. No, it's Netanyahu who runs Biden, and Biden hands over weapons. That's all. In any case, Netanyahu said that Israel will temporarily open the Ashdod port to receive humanitarian aid packages that will be transported to the Erez crossing, which will be open for the first time since the current conflict started in October. So, just to show you on the map, this is Beit Hanun up here, if you can see my mouse, at the top, northern Gaza. And then the port is outside, and I mean, this is basically in line with what they were saying before, that they want to build a jet, they're going to put in a jetty and then build a pier, and they're going to bring in food because they love to feed Palestinians, and which is it's something they accomplish by murdering the people feeding the Palestinians and the Palestinians trying to feed themselves, right? That makes sense. I'm sure it has nothing to do with the gas that Gaza has. It has nothing to do with the strategic location of Gaza, nothing to do with the canal that they want to build. Yeah, they care about feeding people. Do you know, by the way, one of these giant ships that was coming to bring in food, which again is inefficient because trucks is the better option, but it belongs to World Central Kitchen, and the ship turned back, and now they've stopped operating in Gaza entirely. So well done. You've basically succeeded in starving Palestinians in another way, in an additional manner, by killing the workers and then making the charity that is bringing the food turn the ship back. So well done. I'm sure you're very proud of yourselves, genocidal bastards. Israel says by opening the crossings, the increased aid will prevent a humanitarian crisis and is necessary to ensure the continuation. Again, I don't know. I don't understand what this garbage is. What does that mean, prevent a humanitarian crisis? There are 1.7 million people displaced in Gaza. All of them are food insecure. They are acutely food insecure. In other words, they are starving. They are being starved on purpose. It's not because there's no food on the planet. There's nothing they can sow. There's no crops. No. There is food. We can feed everyone on Earth. But they choose not to feed them. They starve them on purpose. And then they say they want to prevent a humanitarian crisis. I can't believe I'm reading this. Again, it's so insulting. It's like when the United States, they talk about human rights while they're bombing people. What can you say? What can you say to these psychopaths? You're starving people, 2 million people, and then you say you want to prevent a humanitarian crisis. Wow. What kind of humanitarian crisis? Does it have something to do with food by chance? Huh? Anything to do with you? Could you be the cause? Huh? No. Israel has nothing to do with this. Israel is innocent. Israel cares about human rights. Israel cares about democracy. Israel is a moral army. Israel wants to prevent a humanitarian crisis. Israel cares about international law. Israel is lovely and fluffy and likes to murder people as well. They didn't tell you that part. Yeah, I'm so done with these people. I'm so done, really. They make me just I'm so done with them. There is never going to be enough food in Gaza, or medicine in Gaza, or supplies in Gaza, or basic necessities in Gaza until the Israelis fuck off. Israel, the Israelis don't need to open a crossing. The Israelis need to fuck off. They need to just go away. There's no need to discuss details or to plan things. Just fuck off. It's very simple. Go away. This is not your land. Go away. Stop killing people. Go away. Stop starving people. Go away. Fuck off. That's it. Just fuck off. Fuck off. If we had real politicians, if we had real leaders, this is what they would tell the Israelis. We're not going to negotiate what crossings you will open or how many trucks. You're going to fuck off. Do you know why you have to fuck off? Because the United Nations Security Council Resolution 242 says to fuck off. That's also another thing, by the way. It's mandated by the law. Mandatory. Binding. It's not a fucking choice. Seriously, these people, man. Thank you for the for the donation. I'm glad you're all having a laugh, but it pisses me off, honestly. We have one here. This is from Karima, who says the world leaders have gone crazy, but the people are more awake than ever. That's true. We see them for who they are. Keep telling the truth, Richard. The mainstream media is now forced to also tell the truth. Well, I'll believe it when I see it, but I understand your I understand your sentiment. And Lefty, oh, it was your happy birthday. Well, I'm happy belated birthday in that case. I just spotted the comment. Happy belated birthday. And again, I'm grateful to all of you guys, and forgive me for repeating or nagging, but I do have to ask. Again, YouTube punished me because I tell the truth. I say it straight. I give it to you straight. And they don't like that. So they demonetized the channel. And this is what the Zionists want. They want to take away your living. They want to get you canceled. They want to get you fired if you're telling the truth about Israel. And I have to try and make up for it because YouTube is how I used to make a living. It's my main source of income or revenue or whatever you want to call it. And if you guys could please donate, I would really appreciate it. I would be much obliged. You can donate on PayPal, send me a comment or a question also. I mean, you can just send it in the chat anyway. I read the comments. But that's one thing. And then also Patreon is a monthly thing. You can send $1, $1,000, I don't know, whatever you want. It's up to you. And if you can't, that's okay. Please try and share the videos, send it to your friends and family, piss them off, educate them, confront them, because the stakes are too high. The stakes are too high. And Sarah says, go ahead and nag us, Richard. Yeah, well, you're very kind. I'm much obliged, and thank you to all of you for the kind words. I'm reading them and skimming through the comments while I speak to you. So multitasking is my forte in some sense. I have to thank Anna and also Global, who says global news with the newspaper emoji. Absolutely. I'm your man when it comes to, well, not just international relations, pretty much everything, I suppose. I love also covering Niger, for example. For me, this is so cool because not only is it anti-colonial, but it's also the aspect of, the French being involved, watching the French, how they speak, what they're saying on TV, how they're reporting about it in the news, getting to understand the current, the current formulation of their neo-colonial thinking, and then bringing it to you guys. So yeah. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but thank you to Bahri, who says, "You are our star. Keep up with more excellent work. The truth will prevail soon. You have a kind heart. God bless." God bless you. Thank you. I'm very grateful, and I have to play a crab dance for Perry. Everybody, please give Perry a round of crab emojis and thank them for joining on Patreon. Let's go.
Clap for that, you stupid bastard.
Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Listen, fuckhead, you have fucking crossed the line, claiming I'm the enemy. You got that, you goddamn son of a bitch?
I don't give a fuck what you think, bitch.
Good morning. Sunday morning.
Cut that bitch off.
Thank you for Iron Dome.
Thank you. والله انت كلاب بصراحة يعني. ماشي نشتغل عادي.
We lied, we cheated, we stole.
China. And you ain't black.
There's always the macro.
And then there's the micro.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm gonna come.
You talking to me?
Ladies and gentlemen,
I'll have 2 number 9s, a number 9 large.
we got him.
Because I have to do it myself. I know it's not.
I've fallen and I can't get up. Get up.
Oh!
Disgusting!
She was 12, I was 30, but anyway.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Why you're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay. Okay.
Suck my dick and choke on it. I yield my time. Fuck you.
Veronica says, I'd rather hear you ask for a donation than have you resort to advertising vitamin supplements or mattresses every half hour. Thank you for your work. Well, thank you for making me laugh. That's really hilarious. I have another one on PayPal. This is from, you guys are flooding the chat with the crabs. This is from Johnson. Thank you, Johnson. Much appreciated. And also on on Rockfin, we had Stargazer and Carl who sent donations. Thank you to you guys as well. Thank you to everyone who's gone and subscribed simultaneously on Rumble. Again, guys, very important. If you're watching on YouTube right now, you have to do me and yourself a favor when the live stream is done. I need you. Please, this is very important. You have to go on rumble.com and subscribe to the channel. It's nothing, different about it. You'll see the live stream is there. You'll see all the videos are there. It's the exact same as YouTube. It's just as a backup. Because we got over 200,000. What are we, 230,000 now on YouTube? Wow. Look at you guys. And I'm trying to get you guys to go over to Rumble. Not always to watch there, but just to have it as a backup, just in case. To be safe that way. Because we only got, I think, 26.7 thousand followers. And I have elected to now play a crab dance every time we have an additional 100 followers on Rumble. That's a lot of crab dances if we get to 200k. So every 100 subscribers on Rumble, and again, it's totally free. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just annoying you have to make an account. I get you. I know. I don't like signing up to sites either, but it's free. It doesn't cost anything. And, you'll be doing a service to independent platforms and to yourself and myself. So every 100 subscribers on Rumble, I'll play a crab dance. I've elected to do that, and that's how we'll handle it from now on. Thank you also, Whipple Dingle. I like your name. I don't know what it means, but it sounds nice. For subscribing on as a monthly member on Rumble. I'll play you a crab dance, and also I owe one to Debiani, I hope I'm saying it correct. And also we have a donation from Mark. So thank you to all of you. I'm much obliged and very appreciative of your kind words. Please remember to share the videos. This is so important. And sometimes it's annoying because YouTube, there's like a really important topic that I made a video about, and then the YouTube doesn't even notify you. It's so annoying. It's part of the censorship regime that they have. So yeah, I don't know why I'm mentioning that, but we were talking about YouTube. That's why. Anyway, thank you guys very much for tuning in. I really appreciate all your help. Please sign up on Patreon, donate monthly if you can, or send in a donation on PayPal. They punished me for telling the truth about Israel, so please help me out. And thank you so much for tuning in, and please comment and like and subscribe and blah, blah, blah. All of the YouTube phrases and things that they tell you at the end of the video. You know the drill, okay? Thanks very much, guys. Take care. Ma salamat. Bye-bye.
A is for
All men and women created by you know the thing.
B is for
I'm beginning to see why your wife left you.
C is for
Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
D is for
Don't worry, I'm so serious. Children, I love to hear them.
E is for
An excuse to walk by the dealer and say, no, I'm not going to be a mule. I got something to do. I got to go do boom, boom, boom.
F is for
friend, time friend, and she's a friend. She's been my friend in and out of public life.
G is for
Go to Joe 30330.
H is for
Hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun, and the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down.
I is for
I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate.
J is for
Just look at the record.
I have President Biden, Vice President Biden.
Well, I tell you what, if you look at my record and you still doubt about my commitment, then you should vote for somebody else.
K is for
Kids jumping on my lap, and I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
L is for
The lion, dog, face, pony soldier.
M is for
Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone. Make sure the kids hear work.
N is for
NATO.
O is for
The only African American woman that's ever been elected to the United States Senate.
P is for
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
R is for
Rest her soul, and although your mom's still alive.
S is for
Send a text to the word united.
T is for
Truth over facts.
U is for
Union workers, the UAW took incredible cuts in their future.
V is for
I'll vote for somebody else.
All right, thanks so much.
W is for
Wait, you're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay.
X is for
Xi Jinping.
Y is for
And you ain't black.
Z is for
She's sleeping?
Women in our country has been classified as essential. So this is an issue.
By the way, this is my little sister Valerie, and I'm Jill's husband. Oh no, this is Valerie. You switched on me. This is my wife. This is my sister. They switched on me. Freedom!